Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another video of Green Square Talks Battlebots.
Mhm.
And joining me for this one, we have Civilian Arc and Blazegaming. How's it going, both of you?
Skorpios is Skorpios. You can't change my mind on that.
It's fair. I mean, there's only one of it, so.
Technically, there's two, but
Close enough. What about you, Sev?
uh,
Sev go AFK or something?
I swear, Sliv went AFK right after I went AFK. Oh, come on.
Whatever. But yeah, anyway, we're here to discuss the fourth episode of Battlebots Champions, featuring 8 more great robots looking to take on Skorpios, who is this week's gatekeeper. And yeah, there will be spoilers coming. So if you haven't seen the episode or at least seen the fights yet, check those out before watching this thing. At least I would recommend. So I'm not gonna boss you around like that. So
Yes, he will.
yeah, sure. So uh, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, the first thing I'll say is like I will admit, I felt this was a little bit of an underwhelming episode compared to the previous few. Like, there were definitely some great fights in this regardless. Like, there were some fights in here that I did really enjoy, but I feel this episode wasn't as high tier compared to the others, compared to some of the others, though. Like, especially like the first two episodes, in my opinion. But not sure how much you two would agree, but yeah.
To be honest here, this was a downer episode, but honestly, just comparing it to like the last two, this isn't like that huge of a gap in between quality. Last episode didn't have that good of fights either, and honestly, I don't think episode two had that great fights either.
I
Episode
don't
1 was just stupid.
Oh yeah, like episode 1 was a banger to lead off Battlebots Champions for sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
regardless though, this was still a good episode in my mind because we still got tons of great action out of these 9 robots. And yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the first one, Big Dill and Bloodsport. Okay, so then to lead off the episode, we got Big Dill and Bloodsport, and this image pretty much defines what happened. And yeah, it was pretty nice to see Big Dill's return to the arena here after it was in being exhibition only robot, while the team helped out Jaeger this season. Which shout out to them though. That's super awesome that they were able to help Jaeger or compete this season and stuff like that. And yeah, and to lead it off, they got a pretty rough matchup in my mind in Bloodsport, who is one of the higher tiered horizontal spinners in the competition. So yeah,
Big Deal keeps.
I don't think there's really much to talk about here. So or I'll talk about before. So I'll leave the floor to you two. What do you two got in this fight?
Big Deal keeps getting handed big spinners.
What do you got, Sev?
I was kind of impressed with Big Dill showing. It was able to push around Bloodsport at times. Did a little nay nay on Justin Marple at some point, so that was fun to see. Yeah, it was kind of sad because once Big Dill lost that arm, it was pretty much.
Yeah, this fight did go pretty quickly. Big Deal did have a couple good moments in this fight, like what Civ said, but yeah, pretty much Bloodsport got a couple hits one of them which apparently severely damaged the lifter, basically, and yeah, Big Deal eventually lost drive after it took Bloodsport to the screws or something like that. But I am a little curious what exactly happened there. What caused Big Deal exactly to lose drive? Sid mentioned the idea that they might have been high centered on their lifter, which is a possibility. Maybe they had something burn out in there. Maybe they had something simple as a wire disconnected or something like that. But I'm not sure exactly. But either way, though, I was hoping this fight would last a little bit longer than it did, but it is Bloodsport. Bloodsport definitely had a more damage potential spinner this season compared to what they had last season. But it was still nice to see Bloodsport worked pretty well in this fight and showed and show why they're probably one of the biggest forces to be reckoned with in this bracket. So
I
yeah, and
think
then
it might have been the
that image shows the backside of Big Deal being sheared off. What do you got, Civ?
might have just been the lifter high centering it because I might have to rewatch it, but it
No,
seemed like who just joined?
Mantine did.
yeah,
How's it going,
Cool.
Mantine? You want to talk
19.
about Big Deal and
Alright,
Bloodsport?
so what I
I
think
was called.
yeah. I think because I think I saw a Big Deal like driving a little bit, doing a little
Yeah, it
driving.
did have a small amount of movement before Bloodsport hit the backside and knocked off the back plates. So
Yeah.
it's possible, but yeah.
Green, you said my assistance was required. What's going on?
You will be needed for this next fight, so
Okay, alright.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
all
yeah.
right.
I see what's going on, yeah.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
too bad the only man who predicted deadlift ain't here.
Hey, no lying, man. You picked Deadlift too. You were going on and on about how Deadlift was gonna go all the way in this bracket, and
Uh,
I wasn't going on and on how it was gonna make
I mean,
it was gonna go all the
Blaze
way.
is
It's gonna
going
go to
back and
Bloodsport.
forth between whether you were gonna go Blacksmith or Deadlift. But
I
I
mean, let's
went.
be
In the end, I did pick black. I did pick deadlifts, so you can bully me on that. I don't care.
okay, well, anything else on Bloodsport versus Big Dill, or should we get to the next one?
Big Deal kind of died and it was sad.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, cause like, yeah, once again, I wish this fight lasted a little bit longer than it did, just cause like Big Dale's a neat robot, and yeah, let's get to fight number 2 then. All right, here we go, the fight.
Oh boy.
Oh yes. Okay, so Blacksmith and Deadlift, a fight that I knew was going to be happening for a while. I wasn't sure whether it was going to be main competition or bounties only because I knew this fight was happening. Probably not even before episode 1 came out when I saw a fight image from this one. And sure enough, we got to see it here for episode number 2. And Pori unfortunately is not here. That might just be I don't know, maybe out of sadness because Deadlift lost or something like that when he was
He
claiming a
didn't like the
deadlift
episode
sweep or
period.
something. But uh yeah, so Mantine, you got any words to say to Civ, Blaze, and if Pori's watching? I'm gonna let
Dude,
you do this
fucking
than me.
deadlift fucking sucks. I told you it fucking sucks. It was so easy too. It didn't even it did nothing. It did absolutely nothing. One shot and it just got absolutely annihilated. Blacksmith with a
well, let's
fantastic
be
showing.
let's
Deadlift again,
no.
wash. Couldn't even beat a
Mantine,
Jack
you know
Paul
for a
after
fact that isn't
drivetrain. Huh?
for a fact it isn't watched because it was never good to begin with.
Who
Deadlift.
cares? Who cares? All right. So continuing on. Yeah, deadlift got absolutely smacked, dude. It was I was on my feet when that fight happened. Not because it was a good fight, just because I could rub it in Civ and Tori and Blaze's faces. I mean,
Yeah.
it was. I knew it from the start. Deadlift has never gotten a meaningful win ever, and it never will. Quite frankly, another another huge win for the Hammer.
We're not gonna talk about the jackpot win.
I can't even say that. Yeah, that was not meaningful. That was a fluke, as we saw this year. Uh, Deadlift, what was that? Did Deadlift go
0
0
and
and
3.
4 this year?
0 and
Oh,
3.
even better. They didn't think it deserved the fourth fight. That's valid. I agree. Hold on, let me just let me let me get out some numbers here. Let me get out the calculator.
Or Civ and Blaze, either of you two want to talk about
Okay,
this one?
so
Deadlift
let's
is
be
2-6 for anybody who didn't know. Fun fact, just to let
okay.
the audience know.
So let's be real. Deadlift only got bodied because got that huge drivetrain shot on Deadlift's wheel. You could clearly see that Blacksmith hit Deadlift's drive. So
I might need
I
to
mean,
rewatch
Yeah,
the fight, but I'm not sure if Blacksmith struck that side exactly.
I
But
think I think they did. Oh, hold on, I'm sure there'll be one on YouTube. Never
Yeah,
mind.
that's
was
what I
wrong.
want to see too. But
I mean, who would want to see Blacksmith?
That's true. Who would want to see Blacksmith shit on deadlift? That's a very valid point.
poor you wouldn't.
Yeah, it's true. True.
I mean, I would. Well, plus I'm getting a part from this fight too. So
Shoutouts to Brian Griffin, Family Guy fan, for posting some of the fights. Thanks, man. Oh, dude, he doesn't have this one. Fuck. Okay, well,
damn.
all I remember, even if he did, I remember seeing a shot where Blacksmith hit a chain of some kind.
Yeah.
The weapon or the drive, what it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna see
It's
if I can.
irrelevant
I'm
because it
gonna
just means that
putting it
Deadlift
on
has
my
no armor.
TV. I'm gonna click fast forward to it. But yeah, Silver Blaze. Why don't one of you two share some of your thoughts on this fight while I'm pulling it up?
I mean, even if it did happen,
Deadlift sucks.
sucks.
Or
It has
like
Oh
no
yeah. I,
or bad.
Deadlift sucks. Or you
Well,
lied to me.
Here's my defense in this. Pori's such a hype man that he got me believing
That's
in
why
this
you
shit.
don't
Exactly.
believe.
I went
I've
for
been
it.
getting this fight wrong entirely on Pori.
I went
Pori,
for
this
it.
is
I
all your
think
fault.
Deadlift.
You stupid Ribot fan.
oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, he's a robot
Go
fan.
lose.
And we should have remembered that.
Go
Still.
lose to Hydra again.
Oh
Still.
gosh.
We forgot. He's a
Bro,
robot fan. Why would we take advice from him?
It's true.
Man, that was such a fucking huge win.
Okay.
He
So now we're
wasn't
getting
in
right
this
onto the
bracket.
fight,
Tommy.
but
Shut the fuck up.
so yeah, kind of like my thoughts on this fight. Pretty much, it was deadlift's definitely. I kind of felt it was a mistake for Deadlift to go with the clamping arm once again because I felt it gave Blacksmith like an extra spot to bite onto Deadlift kind of with that power hammer right there, and I kind of feels like it's one of those attachments where it's kind of like play right into a spinner's hands. But there's the reason why I chose that image is my theory for how Deadlift managed to lose drive is I don't know how well you can see from the image, but if you look closely at that right side, there's a small plume of smoke coming out there, making me wonder if they lost drive because a motor burned out or something like that. But it's also possible that, regardless though, like the reliability of Deadlift just clearly isn't there, and it bit them right there, and definitely caused their downfall in this fight. But it was nice to see Blacksmith work and do some pretty big damage in this one. And
Can I say something real quick?
what you got?
Corey lied to me. He said Deadlift was going to go all the way. He lied.
Yeah, he did lie.
I blame Corey for everything.
Yeah. Pori said he was gonna make fun of me if Blacksmith did not beat Deadlift, and he didn't even come. He didn't even come to get his part of the deal if the opposite happened. So tisk
Bro,
tisk
that's
tisk.
not bro.
To be fair though, that's not the reason why Pori didn't show up. Pori said Pori wasn't a big fan of the episode and didn't have much positive stuff to share. Yeah, Blacksmith didn't even hit the side they lost drive on. Deadlift basically it looks like from the image from what I just watched, Blacksmith did strike that side, but they struck more right where the wedgelet is at, not where their drive system is at. But yeah. Is there much more to really say about Blacksmith versus Deadlift?
No.
Fuck.
Screw Corey.
Like how you're just going right towards trash talking towards Pori, but yeah. Mantine, you got any other comments to say to these favelas who picked Deadlift over Blacksmith?
Bro, I don't like Blacksmith. That's why I picked Deadlift.
I'm pretty sure in this lifetime, I witnessed you predict that Malice would beat Tantrum.
Yeah.
Perfect Phoenix would beat Endgame.
Yeah.
Tombstone would beat Skorpios.
Yes.
So
I mean,
I don't
three of
know.
those. I mean, some of those at least have logic to them.
No, okay.
That's not the
And
one I
then
was expecting you to refer. There's a couple other even dumber predictions I've made in the past.
Yeah,
what?
Chrome
Can
Fly
you say
versus
one again?
Bronco.
No, I'm not gonna share them.
I know
Wait, what?
one
Say,
of
what did
those.
you say?
What is it?
I know one of those. You predicted. You predicted. Somehow you predicted Overhaul to beat Witch Doctor.
I did not. That is
What?
false. I
What?
predicted Witch Doctor to be overhauled in that
Green.
one.
Mantine's
Green.
dead.
Why would you do that?
What? I didn't make that prediction. I predicted Witch Doctor to be overhauled in that one.
Green. Green. You favela.
I had a
I love how.
I had a dumb
I love
I had a dumb prediction from that season, but it's not that one. It's not that fight though. So,
Did you
I love
predict?
how.
Did you predict? What? Did you predict Warhawk to beat Bronco?
I did not. I predicted Bronco to win that one.
Good.
Anyway, like, I don't think there's really much more to say here. I think Blacksmith definitely won that judge's decision by a pretty big margin. Oh, Mantine left, but
No, wait. It was a judge's decision.
yeah, it went the full
I
3 minutes, and
love-
yeah, it was a great
Somehow.
showing from Blacksmith. It was nice to see him work as well as they did, and Seven Blaze are and Pori especially, I guess, are favelas for thinking that Blacksmith would lose this fight. So,
Have you seen my prediction for the next bracket?
yeah, I've seen it.
All
Seven,
right.
yeah. But all
Just
respect to Deadlift though, because like I was hoping to see like when I was making this prediction podcast though, like I was not expecting this fight to be as one sided as it was, which is really unfortunate. Because like even though I will even though I will at least attempt to roast Seven Blaze for predicting Deadlift for this one, like I do have a lot of respect for Deadlift because like I do think the design has potential if they can get if they can get all the reliability and other gremlins sorted out, and hopefully they do, and hopefully we get to see them in the arena once again because like
you keep
it's
saying that they're not going to make it in
we
next
don't have a lot
season.
of lifters in the competition, so and
You keep saying that they're not going to make it in next season, though.
like
So,
yeah, but that doesn't mean I hate deadlift or anything like that. But
of course, I bet Pori thinks that you do.
sure,
Maybe, possibly.
I don't know. I don't
I
care.
don't
I
know.
don't care what Pori thinks. All that matters regarding that argument is my own opinion. So
So, therefore, Pori's a favela. Got it. On to the
what?
next fight.
How does that even make
Next fight.
sense? So
Next fight.
great showing from Blacksmith. They're moving on to the next. They moved on to the next round, and hopefully we'll get to see Deadlift and maybe an exhibition fight or something. Because I'd like to see that robot once again, and hopefully he gets a win. So moving on. Okay, Lucky and Switchback for this one, and this one was another one where it ended a lot quicker than what I was expecting it to, and also did not have the outcome I was predicting from this one. So, oh
I don't think anyone had the outcome predicted on that.
yeah. I give props to anyone who predicted that one, which I'm guessing Spin Doctor probably did, since I know he's a big Switchback fan. But yeah, Seven Blaze,
Man,
what do you two got in this fight?
I don't know where Civ went, but this fight was over very fast. Uh, from what I've seen, it was like what, one hit, and then they both like started moving weird, and then Lucky just
Yeah.
started smoking. I
Yeah,
think I described
Lucky
the
was
entire
moving
fight in
pretty
three.
awkwardly throughout the entire match, but I'll get to talking a little bit about that in a little bit. Sev, what do you got in this
Was
fight?
the was
So that
how Mammoth versus Retrograde became a basement fight and not this fight baffles me.
that might also be because there were like a lot more like if you combine the times of all the fights that happened, I feel these fights happen in a lot less time, if you kind of get what I'm trying to talk about.
Nope.
Like basically the total fight time between in this entire bracket was I think smaller than what we saw in the last bracket, and so that fight got televised. But still, though, I do kind of agree with Civ that I feel I liked Mammoth Retrograde a little bit better than this one. What I'm curious is what
Yo.
exactly was Lucky. I felt was driving awkwardly right from the start of that fight, and yeah, I'm a little curious what was going on. Like my theory that I was coming
Mm,
up with was possibly was their drive flipped a little bit, as in like when they drive back, as in what's meant to be forward drive is them driving backwards, kind of like it's a little similar to what happens when you're inverted or something like that, like the controls were reversed or something. Because like there were times where Lucky was looked like it was trying to drive forward, but then was showing its backside in the process, and yeah, Switchback accomplished their strategy to perfection in this one because, like, they know that Lucky was going to armor up their robot in certain spots for Switchback because, like, they know that Switchback's such an awkward spinner type. They know that Switchback is an awkward spinner type to take on, and Switchback definitely managed to catch a corner and catch one of those weak spots, which I'm guessing is kind of what disabled their drivetrain right there. And eventually we saw smoke coming out of Lucky. It's really unfortunate we got to see Lucky go out like that because like I think Lucky this was definitely a much more improved version of Lucky for this season than what we saw in previous seasons, and like I just said, it was a little unfortunate to see him go down like that. So yeah, anything more to talk about this one from you two?
I have a theory about the drive thing.
I don't know.
I think Lucky was suffering from shititis. That's when robot is so shit that it immediately stops working before the match even starts.
So
Uh,
why hasn't Deadlift done that yet? Done that yet?
because it's underrated. That's why.
Okay, but why hasn't Rampage?
I do think if Deadlift can get the drive issues sorted out, I think that robot could. That I think Deadlift has big potential, even regarding the words I said in the last one. But
I think
like
it's yeah,
I
Deadlift.
do like Deadlift and have a lot of respect for them. I just want to make fun of Pori Blazing Civilian Arc more for
Bro,
predicting that Deadlift is going to go all the way and going
just
after
like
my
Deadlift,
predictions being
okay?
wrong. So that's the idea.
I just pick the bots that I like, okay? I don't actually think about predictions.
Yeah, but that does still excuse Civ and Pori's comments though. So regardless, though,
You're just hoping
yeah,
you won't win.
it was
Mm,
nice to see
whatever.
Switchback get a pretty solid victory in this one. It was too bad that Lucky ended up going out in the first round in this way too, and I Switchback, we got to see in another fight where they took on Blacksmith, which we'll be discussing later. And I hope, because Battlebots is starting to release the exhibition fights for Battlebots supporters. I hope we'll get to see Lucky once again, because like I said, Lucky is probably up there for most improved robot in my mind, just because of like they performed a lot better this season than how they have in previous seasons. So they're up there regardless for me. So anything else or next fight?
Next fight.
All right, this one was probably my favorite fight of the episode. There's a very close second that we'll be talking to later. This one was definitely one of the better ones in my mind,
Talking
but
too.
I'm not sure. First thing I wanna ask, uh, how many of us at least teared up when Matt Spurg announced Kraken's retirement in his interview? Because
You see,
that was me at the end of during that interview.
see, I would have cried. but I kind of already knew it was retiring.
Yeah, I was aware. I thought
Oh
they
yeah,
announced
even
it
though
on
I knew
social
it was
media. Like,
happening, because like I think Kraken did announce prior to that on social media that they were going to be retiring Kraken, but still though,
no,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
it's
like
still it's
that.
still
kind
it's
of
still
like
it's still
I like
heartbreaking
Kraken.
to me because we've seen so because like Kraken might not have done the best exactly, but it's had so many great moments. Like for example, like
yeah.
last season, every time they stuck those jaws right into a vertical spinner, like and then came out on top over Witch Doctor, and
That
but
was good.
Yeah,
the funniest too being when
it's
they
like
somehow managed to get a bite on Huge, and then when they bit the hammer saw on Sawblaze. And
And they should have
it's
won that
it's
judge's decision against Black Dragon, and I will
uh,
argue that until the end of time.
I
yeah, I
it
agree.
it was
It's like it's
it was
the
very close, but I felt the judges
It was
got that one
close.
right, and that's not because of bias for Black Dragon.
Oh man, I can't
it's the
yell at you for doing that.
see 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 the Kraken Mattsburg speech was sad, but it's like my buddy Jerry spoiling the season 5 of Breaking Bad where he told me Hank Schrader was dying. So yeah, it's sad, but I didn't cry because I already knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Man, it's
But
so
yeah,
sad
kind
to
of like
see.
regarding that before I start talking about the fight, Kraken did announce on social media that even though I kind of knew this one too, they were gonna. I think, yeah, they're pretty much just evolving Kraken, like how Pokemon evolve. Basically, that's
Oh,
basically exactly what they said on social
oh,
media, and basically what they're looking for is keep a similar concept to the robot, keep the durability
oh,
of that robot, but then add a more damaging weapon. And what I'm picturing
oh,
is instead of the teeth that they were using to crush, I'm picturing a hammer saw or a vertical spinner or kind of like up in that upper jaw, but I don't know what to expect. I don't like Matt Spurg's been keeping a lot of that stuff secret, and of course that's a good thing because why not keep it surprised?
well,
Because like
I mean,
when
if
we
you
found out
look
Blacksmith
closely
was going to be
into
returning, I
the
don't think
servers,
I don't think any of us had any idea that he was going to be coming with the power hammer or that
you mean the
overhead
hammer
spinner.
saw?
So he calls it a power hammer. I'll support that. But
It's a hammer saw.
yeah,
Can I just say one thing?
what you got?
I thought that he was just like retiring Kraken permanently until now. It okay.
It's probably
That's
just
a
like a
lot better. But,
rebranding or some shit.
Yeah, because like, I
yeah.
believe they're retiring this version of Kraken, basically.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
they're
been going
probably
on
gonna
for like
bring like a new
14.
bot and call it like they're probably gonna bring a new robot in and call it like cocaine or something. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like I like I'm betting they still
I
call it
think they'll
crack.
stick
I
with
bet they
Kraken.
still call it Kraken, and at least from what I've heard, but I don't know for sure. But
I'm gonna miss Kraken anyways.
oh yeah, like I'm gonna miss this concept because like it was so much fun to watch. Like it either won in pretty entertaining fashion or it lost in extremely entertaining fashion. And like
Except the
it's
glitch
come so
fight.
it's
We
co-
don't talk
it's
about the
it
glitch
came it
fight.
came so far ever since the 2018 season where all you had to do was flip it over and then Kraken would probably lose that
Die.
fight from there. Then came into 2019 with
Um,
some solid with like yeah, might have
beat
gotten
Robot.
destroyed a few times. Yeah, beat Ribot and that was a pretty solid
Ah,
showing from them. And yeah, and then last season took on so many big names and really held their own. And honestly, that's kind of the same thing here for the most part. But yeah, let's go ahead.
and
What's that?
I'm just gonna say the only real bad fight with Kraken in it since in the past 2 seasons is probably the glitch fight. But even then, it wasn't that bad.
Oh yeah. So yeah, kind of going back to this fight, then the other big story was like Blade. Holy crap, did Blade really show off their power with that horizontal spinner right there. Landed hit after hit, knocked piece after piece off of Kraken, and
Man,
definitely proved why that is one of the scariest horizontal spinners. Like, it really sucks that the Kraken start off the season with what's probably one of the biggest horizontals in Rotator, where, yeah, their horizontal config gets destroyed. Then they take on two other horizontal spinners in the process, and Hijinks, and now Blade. But yeah, this was definitely not the best matchup for Kraken, and Blade kind of showed that point, basically. It's like Kraken tried a few driving tactics where it looked like they tried to either box rush, and one point at the beginning of the fight, they tried to lure Blade into the corner, one of the corners by the upper deck, which is kind of like the big weakness of horizontals. But as we've seen from multiple horizontals this season, but either way, though, that was an amazing performance from Blade. Definitely one of probably their best performance of the entire season. What they were able to do right here. And Blaze or Civ, you want to talk about the fight?
Okay, so first of all, shout out to Kraken. Uh, Secondly, yeah, it was a fun Orby watch. We didn't see a whole lot out of Orby this season. We saw it get named on by two bots in this bracket, actually, but it was fun to watch it fight. Kraken. It was a good showing, as we thought it would be. Kind of hyped to see that. All this is sad to see Kraken retire. It's kind of fun that we got to see this beat up and this. This sounds fucked up, but it's fun to. It was kind of fun to watch it just get this speed up and it's still like working properly.
Oh yeah, like Kraken's durability amazes me every time. Like especially in the huge fight. Well, even both rotator and huge. Those are kind of the two that impress me the most. Cause yeah, huge had their entire top exposed, even sliced out a couple internals at the end of that one. But it looked like Kraken was still driving after that one, and then rotator got to the fuel tank, blew up the entire CO2 bag, and yeah, just shredded Kraken apart in that one. There was so much incredible stuff, incredible memories we've gotten from Kraken, win or lose, and then Blade just added to that, yeah, yeah. So once again, nice to see Blade do what it was intended to do this season, where get the spinner up to speed, destroy an opponent with that scary spinner, and definitely proved why that robot's force to be reckoned with regardless. So, anything else to say about this
Good.
fight, or
Well,
should we get to the next one? What do you got, Blaze?
Blade is actually impressive for once.
I mean, it was impressive in the Dragon Slayer fights, in my opinion.
Well, but no offense to Dragon Slayer, but that's Dragon Slayer.
Shout out to Jordan, by the way. We didn't get to talk much on
Yeah,
it.
Oh
They're
yeah,
fucking cool. I
it
like
was
that. I
fun.
like that. I like that NFL joke he made at the
yeah.
glitch retrograde fight.
Oh yeah, it was so much fun having Dragon Slayer on the podcast. That was so much fun last week, and I hope we'll get to have Dragon Slayer on once again at some point. So, okay, anything else in this fight,
Yeah.
or should we move on?
No.
Yeah,
Go
so
on.
that was another rock solid. That was a rock solid match right there, in my opinion. Nice to see both robots kind of get some moments and watch Blade do what Blade does best. Blade almost certainly won that judge's decision, and definitely showed why that is a scary spinner on it. So let's move on. Okay,
Uh,
this fight. So Blade returning to
oh,
the arena to take on Bloodsport in this one. And
oh man.
Civ, I'll just let you lead this one.
Uh,
Civ, I'll just let you lead this one off. You like that image I got there?
Hold on. Let me get a good look at it.
oh man. We're hyping up Blade so much now, and now he's not hyped. I don't understand what they're laughing about. I'm confused. Someone send
So,
help.
I don't
so
know.
gamers, fun fact: Orbeez wedge is hinged.
Yeah.
That's what fucked it.
Yeah.
Oh
Orby
wait.
was still working. Orby was still
Yeah,
functional.
Blade was high centered, and that's why it couldn't move. Blaze, if you.
It's
Why? Why would you?
it's
Why?
own its own wedge is hinged, so it's able to move up and down if you pop it enough, which is why it high centered itself.
I wouldn't say it high
Oh,
centered itself
that's
exactly
hilarious.
like Bloodsport caused it to high center itself. So
Oh well, yeah. The shot got it to high center itself, but the
yeah,
or
because
the
that second hit definitely knocked it loose or knocked it out of place for sure. Like that was a pretty big
yeah.
impact.
That's
So
funny. Comedy. And
well,
this is
Blaze, you want to
why.
talk about this fight?
Yeah, hinge wedge. I don't like hinge wedges because that reason. And also, this is probably one of the, I would say this is one of the lower tier fights that we got this episode.
I
It
would
wasn't
agree.
that great. It's like, what, 2 hits?
Yeah, something
It's
I
like
more of a
mean,
that.
meme if anything.
But yeah,
But this fight is
go ahead, Sev.
you can make an S tier meme out of this fight.
oh, true.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
also a
you
bit
go
under.
ahead and
I was
prove it to me.
what?
What?
Okay, well, yeah, I was also a bit underwhelmed by this fight. Like yeah, because like when I saw that Blade was almost certainly gonna get the judge's decision against Kraken, I was excited to see that we were gonna see a horizontal battle between Bloodsport and Blade, because I really wanted to see what a weapon-on-weapon exchange between two big horizontal spinners, like the two of them, was gonna be like, and unfortunately, we didn't get to see that happen in this one. I see where Blade was going with their strategy with this one, because what it looked like is Blade was going to try to use the backside to slow down the horizontal spinner of Bloodsport, and then hit the frame with their horizontal spinner right there. At least that's what it looked like the strategy was going to be based on how Blade is driving in that one. I don't. That wasn't the strategy that they shared with prior to the fight, because they were announcing they were going to go weapon on weapon with Bloodsport, which I'm pretty sure was going to be Bloodsport's strategy, basically. But well, I don't think so exactly. I think Bloodsport was going to want to try to avoid the spinner, because Bloodsport basically they replaced the wedgelet with a piece of armor on the front to be able to take some impacts, because they know that if those two were going to go weapon on weapon, probably somebody's spinner was going to eventually break, similar to what we saw in Valkyrie and Rotator, which is what I expected would have happened if we got to see some weapon on weapon action between those two robots. But yeah, it looked like that second hit from Bloodsport seemed to really knock that wedge out of place to where it high centered Blade and resulted in the end of that fight, unfortunately, before we could see a big juicy hit between those two horizontal spinners that I was hoping we'd get to see. It's a little unfortunate, but maybe we'll get a rematch next season. Battlebots question mark. So yeah, it's another one. It's another one of those fights where where I feel like it would have the potential to be such a great match, but then it was a little underwhelming, and so I'd want a rematch. So yeah, is there anything else to really talk about between this one from you two?
So,
Fair enough. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, and so now this image pretty much defines the fight really well in this one. So
Blacksmith eating ass.
that's kind of funny, honestly.
man, didn't expect that. That comment.
Yeah. But yeah, switchback. I'm guessing probably similar strategy last time. Try to hit their opponents, dish out as much damage as they possibly can with that articulated drum spinner. While Blacksmith looked like they were going to try to time their shots well, because they know that Switchback definitely has the reach and the height to target Blacksmith's weapon arm and their exposed belts. So Blacksmith is definitely being really cautious with this one, and it really paid off for Blacksmith in this one. Alkindle did a fantastic job driving in this match, and got to give him a lot of credit for this one. This was a very dominant performance from Blacksmith, and it was nice to see the Power Hammer do some more damage and not just like
Huh.
deadlift and free shipping. So, yeah, how about you two share your thoughts on this fight then?
Okay,
This fight happened.
so my epic gamer thoughts is that I was shitting on the fact that Blacksmith is a hammer saw, and to a degree I still am. This was a fun showing by Blacksmith. Nay on switchback a little bit, so we can make fun of Spin Doctor whenever he gets back on the podcast. So yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't make fun of Spin Doctor because Switchback got a victory over Lucky, though.
Over a non-working Lucky.
I would still count it a good win though by Switchback. Like I don't care. Like a win's a win in my book. So, well, what else do you have to say about this fight, if anything else?
No.
Blaze, you got
I
anything you
have
want to
one
say about
thing.
this one?
Yeah, this fight happened.
That's fair.
That's it. Next fight.
Yeah. Once again, nice to see Blacksmith another dominant performance. More great driving from Al Kendall in this one, especially since he probably knew that he was going to be taking on Bloodsport in the next round if he came out on top in this one. Definitely drove this one cautiously, and it really paid off for him in this one because eventually knocked Switch back into the corner and dropped that power hammer on them several times, dished out quite a lot of damage, and eventually drive problems haunted Switchback here. But I will admit, like I hope we get a second season of Switchback. I don't know if it'll actually happen because from what I have heard, the competitive field is going to be smaller next season than what we've seen like this season, and so I but I do hope we get to see a second season from Switchback just because, like, if they could get the drive sorted out on that thing could be a force to be reckoned with. Because, like, that spinner definitely has a pretty powerful punch to it. So, as we saw in the Lucky fight and the Slammo fight. So,
I don't know if we saw it in the Lucky fight because Lucky was driving wonky all match.
The hit was still
well,
decent.
it was still able to drive, like, in a straight line, basically.
But it did bad. Alright,
but
anyways, next fight.
yeah, we'll go ahead and get to the next fight. Good performance from Blacksmith, and hopefully we'll get to see Switchback once again. Okay,
Let's
Bloodsport
fucking
and Blacksmith. And Bloodsport, this was
This
my
fight
other
happened.
favored match of this episode because this was a banger of a showdown between these two, in my opinion. So Bloodsport debuted a new spinner that they did a YouTube video on. So check that out. As for the reasoning why they made that spinner, its purpose in a fight like this, because yeah, basically they made a video on a new overhead spinner they came up with that they were going to be preparing if they had to go up against a overhead attacker, which there's two of them in this bracket. Well, technically three. I can somewhat count Switchback as well because Switchback could strike from above, but regardless, though, we got to see it in action in this one, and it was a
Well,
yeah, like I said,
there's
this was a beast of a showdown and a driving
well,
war between Owl and Justin. So.
I
Blaze
I
and
have one
Civ, what do you
thing to
got to say
say.
about this one?
Is Kraken not an overhead attacker now?
It's always been an
I
overhead
suppose, yeah,
attacker.
Kraken does count as an overhead attacker. I forgot about Kraken. Yeah,
Okay.
Kraken. I would
That's all.
probably count it. Kraken, I would definitely count as an overhead attacker. I bet Bloodsport would go with something like that right there for a blade like that for it. But
Okay, so before we get on into the fun part of the fight, this was a fun fight overall. I liked the. I thought Honestly, I'm gonna be real. I thought Blacksmith was gonna do a stanky leg on Bloodsport and absolutely sweep it. So I'm glad I was wrong there. So GG's to Bloodsport on that, and yeah.
what do you got in this fight, Blaze?
Uh, it happened. Can't wait for the
Did
next
not
fight.
happen.
Fine.
This fight's
Oh
so stupid.
man.
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay, good to know. All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much like I said, this was a phenomenal fight in my mind, including an absolute driving war of impressive driving between both Al Kindle and Justin Marple there, and Bloodsport managed to catch edges on Blacksmith multiple times and dish out some pretty vicious damage there. But Blacksmith ended up getting a few opportunities where they pushed Bloodsport up against the rails, pushed them into the screws, struck them right on the top with the power hammer, and definitely that spinner helped them take those impacts because I'm not sure how well. I don't think Blacksmith got through that spinner very. I don't think they got through that spinner at all, if very much, if at all. So it was very impressive, regardless, though, from both robots. So uh, yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen this, if you're one of those people who haven't seen the episode, this was an amazing fight. So uh,
Can I start off the next one?
so what did y'all think of the judge's decision then? Because I have heard some disagreement on the internet about this one.
So there's literally no way Bloodsport couldn't have won that decision after it took out Blacksmith's weapon. If it didn't take out its weapon, then Blacksmith might have won. But I think this decision is more of a criteria problem, if anything. Which not even like the rules of the criteria, as more of it is like system and like 5 points in one category and 3 points in the other two is honestly kind of limited compared to like what we've seen in like Comedy Central ages. I'm not saying it has to be like 15 points each, but like in my opinion they should
I
make the
think
point they should make the point limit raised a little bit. Maybe make it 7 to 5 in my opinion.
I would just have it just be all like the exact same. Everything
Uh,
matters.
I don't think it should be the exact same.
What do
It
you what do
should
you think
be.
about the
It'll be
decision,
fine.
Blaze?
I agree with Civ. Can I start off the next fight?
Yeah, after I
We
talk
need
about
wait
the
wait
remaining bits of
we
it,
need
sure.
the green we need the green square
But
opinion
yeah,
on this.
I agreed with the
Oh
judge's
no.
decision. I definitely felt it was close, regardless. But I felt Blacksmith losing the power hammer right in the last 5 seconds there was kind of what sealed the deal. I am I'm curious about what I'm curious about is why people think Blacksmith should have taken that fight. If you're watching this and you did think Blacksmith should have won this, please comment down below. I'm very curious why you felt Blacksmith won the fight. I'm not saying you're wrong or anything like that. Like, I'm not gonna disagree or anything. Like, it's a curiosity thing. Like, I'm cur because I'm guessing what it is like we saw a different fight or something like that.
All
But
right,
regardless, though, I'm
so
I'm interested in what those people's thoughts are on that decision, and if there's
so
if there's somebody watching this who thought Blacksmith should have taken that fight, comment it right below, and
so I'll give off my pointing opinion. Damage. I think I was debating for it to be 3-2, but after the weapon takeoff, I think it should be 4-1 Bloodsport. Because to be fair, Blacksmith's weapon didn't really affect anything in Bloodsport's strategy. And then control and aggression are both on Blacksmith, so it should just be like 7-6 or whatever, 6-5.
yeah,
Bloodsport. Either way, Bloodsport wins.
that's pretty much how I scored the fight. I scored the fight damage 4-1 for Bloodsport, and then aggression and control 2-1 for Blacksmith, which would score it. Let's see, that would be 6-5 for Bloodsport. So,
Okay.
but regardless, though, that was like I've already like Civ and I have said many times already. This was a fantastic fight. Just shows that Blacksmith either gets a strong victory or dies in extremely impressive fashion. And but you get what I mean when I say that. But yeah, it's always Blacksmith's definitely always been a really entertaining robot to watch, in my opinion. And definitely we got another great showing from it here, and I hope we get to see Blacksmith again in the future if they choose to return for next season, or if there's an exhibition fight featuring Blacksmith. I don't know yet. I don't have any info on that, but let's go ahead and get to the next fight. Go ahead, Blaze. Floor is yours since you want to start.
All right. So okay. So originally I was gonna talk about their fight in 2020. I was gonna describe that fight, but then I forgot about it, and then I started to watch it, and then you started told me to talk, and now I don't know what to say. Um, it happened. From what I agree with the judge's decision. I'm just gonna say that Scorpios won that, right? If I remember, Scorpios won the judge's decision.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Okay. There. I done my talk. All right.
So if you want
Okay,
to talk about the fight.
so yeah, so there's honestly not much to talk about this fight in. It's only like my opinion on all the shit revolving this fight and Scorpios. First of all, huge shout out to Scorpios for winning this fight. I'm glad the gatekeeper finally won a fight. But I'm gonna be real here. On paper, there's literally no bot in this bracket Scorpios should lose to. I mean, I know me and Green have talked about it, and he thinks Blade could win in a rematch against Scorpios, and I mean that's a fair take. But like on paper, Scorpio shouldn't lose to any of these bots. Like, and I kind of wanted to see Bloodsport win this fight just because Bloodsport was our last hope in seeing another horizontal spin in this bracket, in the Golden Bolt bracket, besides Tombstone. But like, my hopes were dashed, and sad to see this happen because Bloodsport, in my opinion, is definitely a top 3 horizontal spinner robot in the field, along with the Chad, like Rotator and Gigabyte. So yeah, this was sad to see.
Yeah, but I will give Zach Lytle so much credit. Zach drove this fight like perfectly in this
Oh yeah,
fight.
he
It looked
did.
like the strategy for Scorpios is simply just gonna be box rush, jam up Bloodsport spinner, and then just start dropping that spinner right on the top of Bloodsport. And Bloodsport came out with what I'm guessing might have been the same exact spinner they used the first time, because that wasn't the same overhead spinner they used in Blacksmith. At least you can look at the top right there. So it wasn't like the Ferris wheels. It wasn't like the Ferris wheel spinner that they used in the blacksmith fight. I forget what they called it, but I know it was some Ferris wheel reference right there, which it was a
I
beautiful
believe it
name.
was called the first one.
Yes,
The first.
I know it was
Yeah,
something
I think
very close to that, if not
it was
exact. So,
either. Yeah.
but regardless, though, like
I.
that was very impressive. But yeah, it was nice to see, even with the damage Scorpios took very early on in this fight, because after a little bit of action from dropping that spinner, they lost the spinner very early on. I forget what the reasoning was, but I'm gonna look it up on social media because I know they posted about that on Facebook.
I'm just gonna say something. Okay.
Yep, go ahead. Well,
While you're doing that, I'm gonna say my theory on why Bloodsport went with that configuration. Because, I mean, I think, like you said, I think it is the configuration they went with last year.
apparently, according to Chris and
And
Kenny, it has a lot more punch to it. So
yeah,
my guess would be they were just trying to go for more damage. If what Chris and Kenny said is true, to like
I
which would
think
make sense because Scorpios is very bulky on the front. So keep going.
I well another thing is that I thought during the correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe during the not like their video on the new weapon, they mentioned that they made it for like bots that could hit like through the like the things and on the like the holes, and I don't think that Scorpios is able to hit through the holes,
So what I'm gonna
and
say,
that's why.
speaking of those holes, I'm gonna read off of Scorpios' post. The first reason being why the blade stopped spinning and why it was crooked. Scorpio says in this post, when we had Bloodsport under the pulverizer, our blade was in one of their pre-existing blade holes. You see Scorpio slip out of Bloodsport a little bit. Since the blade is not retracted yet, that is enough to tweak the blade so it got crooked. And then the other thing is the arm, because
Mhm.
partway after the fight, the arm got stuck in the down position. They mentioned that one of the teeth on the gear or that like swings the arm up and down ended up getting sheared away, and so that was enough to disconnect it from the servo, basically. So yeah,
Oh
Scorpius,
man.
very good explanation of what exactly happened right there, but I still was very
Scorpios
impressed with
will win the Golden
Skorpios with
Bolt.
how well they still managed to take it to Bloodsport in this fight, and we already heard
Scorpios is
Blaze's
gonna win the Golden Bolt.
opinion on this, but yeah, Civ, what is your opinion on the judge's decision?
I so this is kind of the same situation as like the blacksmith Bloodsport fight, where if something didn't happen, I probably would have given it to the other bot. In this case, it was Scorpios getting that one push onto the shelf. I think that Scorpio said on the winning for that decision. Other, if it was a different case that something like that didn't happen, I think Bloodsport might have been able to squeak it out, but unfortunately, Scorpios managed to get that shelf shot and
I did see some disagreement on this one, which I completely understand that because I felt this was a very close fight, but I agreed with the judges on this one. I would have scored the fight for Scorpios. How I would have scored this fight is I would have scored damage 4-1 for Bloodsport because I felt like all that weapon damage that Bloodsport did manage to do to Scorpios is critical. But I'm gonna give Scorpios credit for the hits they did manage to land before or the damage they took. I don't think they did much to get through to Bloodsport or and get to those internals, but it's still something I'm gonna give them credit for.
so
Aggression, I scored that one 2-1 for Scorpios right there. Like normal in most cases, I would go clean sweep for Scorpios, but I disagree with so many of the I don't agree with the definition of aggression in the Battlebots school rulebook for on aggression for the judging criteria here, because I think Bloodsport would get a point based off of some of the points there are in the rulebook for aggression, and but and then control, I'm actually gonna sweep that for Scorpios right there. Bloodsport did have a few like smaller potential moments, but Bloodsport was Bloodsport was just getting bodied for nearly the entire match right here, and it
see,
was just such S tier driving from Zach Lytle in this one. So
this is my problem with the BattleBots criteria as a whole, which is the fact that it's very hard to get a sweep on any category, really. So I don't really think Scorpios sweeped either category. I just think Bloodsport won 3-2 damage, and then
that's also fair.
Scorpios won the other. Scorpios won the other control categories. Here's my thing. Since it is so hard to get a clean sweep, that I think that's another reason that they have to like expand the pointing limit more. Because I mean, it's this hard to get a sweep. I mean,
Yeah, because like you mentioned a 7-5-5 system. That's something I would be down for at least trying out. I'm not sure how it would work, but I hope BattleBots does change up some of the definitions. 'Cause, like I mentioned this in a few podcasts already, but my big belief is BattleBots needs to remove all the active weapon stuff out of the control and aggression categories because I feel aggression and control should have like little to nothing to do with
The
using like the
weapon.
primary weapon. Like I feel if you're doing anything with the weaponry, where that should be placed on is damage and like damage alone, or weapon effectiveness, like what Mantine said a couple podcasts ago. I think that'd also be a really good thing to try out and reduce all the advantages that spinners have, at least in that category. So, like, there's so much stuff I hope BattleBots tries out for next season, even though I kind of doubt it's actually going to happen. So, uh, yeah, anything else on Scorpios and Bloodsport was a pretty solid fight in my mind, and Scorpios will see them in the Golden Bolt tourney. So, anything else before we get to the last part of this?
Oh boy. All right.
All right, we'll end this the same way we ended all the
No,
other Battlebots Champions episode reviews, where how well would Scorpios
I'll go
do
first.
against all the other confirmed Golden Bolt robots? So, who
I
wants
want
to
to
one
go
go?
and
first.
five.
No, I'm going
Go.
first.
Go ahead, Blaze.
All right. It would be Tombstone. Okay. I think Scorpios would be Tombstone. I don't know. Maybe Robot, depending on what configuration Robot goes with. Because if they go vert, I think Scorpios will lose vert and wins against the horizontal. Uh, I'm not sure how a glitch fight would go, to be honest, because glitch, I don't know. It would lose to all the others though. It would lose to Endgame, as we've already seen. It would lose to Hypershock, and it would lose to Tantrum. All right.
What do you got, Sev?
Okay, so first of all, the only bot I can only with that question say that Scorpios is beating his Tombstone. Uh, there's there's very Scorpio seems even tankier than before, so I doubt that Tombstone could get some damage on Scorpios, but Scorpios has slightly improved, and Tombstone's gotten a lot worse, unfortunately. Sorry to say it, but it's definitely at a dipping quality. Um, See, I'd be willing to say Scorpios if there wasn't one thing that is just in the back of my head, and it's the fact that at times Scorpios can pop wheelies like a motherfucker, and if that happens, then glitch and it pops wheelies and at the wrong place at the wrong time, then basically wins by suicide. Uh, so I I'm betting on Scorpios, but I'm hoping on glitch. Endgame, there's no reason that Endgame should lose that fight, and there's no reason Scorpio should use that funny little beta configuration it had, trying to be like beta when it fought Ribot and Lockjaw.
I would not say
Uh,
that was a beta type configuration. Like, I get what Scorpios is going. That, like, I see what Scorpios was going for, at least with that config.
which, which was taking fat L's. What's another bot? Tantrum. It's losing the Tantrum. There's Tantrum's quicker. It has probably the slightly better driver. It's and while I'd be willing to say Scorpios' weapon reliability might be better, honestly, I'm not that impressed with Scorpios' weapon that much. It's been able to spin up and do shit to both Yeti and Bloodsport. Um, uh, Hypershock. I understand that Scorpios has lost twice to Scorpios has won twice to Hypershock, but something to consider. That wasn't Hypershock at its best. This is Hypershock at its absolute best, and I don't think Scorpios is going to be able to just like get into this and beat Hypershock. As for Ribot, it could realistically go either way you slice it. For the horizontal spinner, to be honest here, I actually think Scorpios might have a better chance against the vertical Ribot because you can't really have the vertical setup, the like fork setup against a horizontal spinner like Ribot's undercutter, and without the forks, it'll be easier for Ribot to get under Scorpios, or even just pray that Scorpios pops a wheelie and it hits it the right way. So I'm betting Ribot in that one. So yeah, that's my TED talk.
Yeah, pretty well explained. So, yeah, as for my
So
opinion,
thankfully, the vote should be
in my
everyone.
opinion, I'll start off with Tombstone here. I would probably say Scorpios once again, and
No, you
like
would say
I
Tombstone.
think it would be nope. I would say Scorpios for that one. And
You said Tombstone.
I said
Shut
Tombstone.
up, Blaze.
I said Tombstone the first.
Why?
I said Tombstone the first time, but I
Yeah, I
wouldn't.
know.
I would pick Scorpios this time though. So like Scorpios
Okay.
definitely proved the first time that they fought that Scorpios is very well designed to take on Tombstone, and we've seen it take on several horizontal spinners and prove why they're so well designed for horizontal spinners. And like, I bet it would be an entertaining fight if those two rematched once again, like what it was the first time. But I feel Scorpios would probably win once again if those two did rematch. Next up, I'll go to Glitch. So that one, Zach Lytle's gonna need to drive that fight perfectly, cause like I don't think Skorpios is gonna win the ground game against Glitch if those two go ahead on it. It'll just be I forget what Mantine titled that
Scorpios,
series, but
You have to buy
kill
food.
yourself on.
Yeah, kill
yes,
yourself on
that.
glitch.
Basically, if Zach Lytle went head on with Glitch like that, it's just gonna be that all over again, and it'll just be another episode of that series. And basically, if Scorpios can get to the backside and start striking the top of Glitch, I think that's gonna be their best shot of winning that fight. But either way, though, that's a tough matchup for Scorpios. I feel if they took on Ribot, I would probably say, I like that. That one kind of depends on the configuration. I feel they would have a harder time with the vertical spinner though, because like, while Ribot is definitely like, I should just say this though, that would be a driving war between those two robots. David Jin and Zach Lytle's driving styles are both like phenomenal, and it would be a tough match for both of them, and whoever can drive that fight better. And we would have two great drivers in the arena if those two did happen to meet. But yeah, kind of like if Ribot went the undercutter, I feel that would be while Ribot is the more mobile robot. If they go head on, I think Scorpios will probably get the better out of that because it'll give Scorpio, and including also Scorpios has a lot more areas they can bite onto the top of Ribot if they go with the undercut. If Ribot goes with the undercutter for that one, I feel. But either way though, I think that would be an entertaining showdown. And then I'm gonna say for a combination of all the others, basically, including Ribot if they went with the vertical spinner for this one. I feel Scorpios, like from Eye's view, how well they would deal with a vertical spinner, it's definitely been a mystery. Because like what makes it most of a mystery to me is I feel like if they draw another big vertical spinner, could we see them come? Because like I'm just gonna say this first. They tested out a new configuration against Endgame. Because what it looked like they were going for is they had those forks on. They had two forks on the outside of that robot. Because my guess is Endgame has a lot of forks in the inner area, try to scoop up a robot right into that vertical spinner. But then Endgame outforked them because their forks were longer, so they could get underneath Skorpios before Skorpios could get underneath Endgame with their config. Could we see Skorpios try out another vertical spinner fork configuration if they happen to draw like Hypershock, Tantrum, Ribot if they use the vertical spinner configuration, and who's the last one? There's one more. Whatever it is, but regardless though, like vertical spinners are definitely going to be Scorpios' toughest matchup there. I feel, but I feel if they fought like any of those vertical spinners, it's gonna be a driving war between Zach and whoever that driver is, because every one of those teams has a fantastic driver, and I feel Scorpios. While I do feel Scorpios is at a disadvantage, and why I would probably predict against them in those fights, like if Zach can outdrive his opponent and get the shots he wants, Scorpios could definitely take that because that overhead spinner has knockout capability, I feel, even though they haven't gotten a knockout so far. Lots to take in, but yeah, I'd probably say Scorpios has the best shot against Tombstone. I would probably say they would have the next best shot against Glitch, and then all others like I feel they are going to be very difficult matchups for Scorpios, but it would be fun fights regardless, though. So, I think that probably about covers it. So, anything else y'all want to say about this or the rest of the episode?
No. Oh, I have
So,
one. I have one thing to say.
what do you got?
Civs of Favela. All right,
That's fair.
continue.
Damn, I'm surprised Civ didn't respond to that, but
I did your mom.
wait, what?
I feel bad for you.
I got no idea what's
Oh,
going on
speaking of
exactly.
that, oh, okay. I'm gonna do the daily reminder now. Okay.
Oh, that's what you're saying. But yeah, anyway, this was definitely not as good of an episode as I feel some of the previous ones were, but we still got so many great fights out of this regardless, so I call that a win for me. So yeah, thanks for watching this video then. Be sure to hit like and subscribe button. Check out Blaze and Civilian Arc's channels, which will all be linked down below, as well as Captain Mantine, who was briefly in here. So yeah,
Oh man, I was hoping to forget him.
it was another fun episode to discuss, and yeah, another prediction podcast will be coming out for the 5th episode of Battlebots Champions. If it's not already out, I don't know when I'll have this podcast
Oh, wait,
uploaded,
I
but
have one more thing to say.
yeah, and it should be a
All right,
fun way to get fun episode
Perfect
before
Phoenix
we
is
get to the
making the
last
final.
episode of Battlebots Champions, and yeah, what are you wanting to say,
Perfect Phoenix
Blaze?
is making the final. Perfect Phoenix is making the final. Okay.
Yep, we do get to see Perfect Phoenix in the next episode of Battlebots Champions,
Perfect
and
Phoenix
Blaze
is
has it
making
in
the
the
final.
final. So it's a pretty spicy take. I will give you that one. So yeah,
I
definitely.
have a feeling. Okay.
Well, I'm not
All
saying that
right.
against you because like that's a pretty solid take. Like I know Pori has Perfect Phoenix in the final four of that bracket, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to
All
the
right.
next episode.
Yeah, we can-
We've seen the bracket already. Since Balbut supporters got it a lot earlier, and there are some
Oh,
very
well, we're
exciting
still recording. Oh
there are
boy.
some very exciting names in that one. So I'm looking forward to it. So once again, thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you for the next podcast.